Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So last week we started a whole new section which will comprise several episodes. Last week we heard a description of the character of Banasura. Banasura's grandfather was Maharaj Bali, and Maharaj Bali's grandfather was Prahlad Maharaj. And we heard how Banasura was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva. And we heard Prabhupada explain that Lord Shiva has a special name among many special names, Ashutosh, one who is easily pleased and also one who is easily displeased. And we heard how Banasura, he performed service for Lord Shiva by playing drums while Lord Shiva danced. And Banasura had received a benediction of 1,000 arms. So he was playing drums with his 1,000 arms, and Lord Shiva would dance ecstatically. And the relationship between Banasura and Lord Shiva was like son and father. Banasura was so dear to Lord Shiva. And then we heard that Banasura had a daughter named Usha. And one day she was sleeping with her many girlfriends, and she had a dream. And in that dream she was kissing a very handsome, Prabhupada used the word swarthy, very handsome, very masculine person, Aniruddha, although she did not know at the time. And she woke up from her dream crying out, "Oh, my lover, where have you gone? Where have you gone?" And so Usha's assistant was surprised that you have not met any boy as of yet. We are protected here. So how is it you are having this dream? And Usha said, "Oh, I must find this boy." So Chitraleka said, "I will draw many pictures, and you tell me if any of these is the person in your dream." So Chitraleka drew this person, that person, and then when she finally drew Krishna, then Usha became a little bashful. Then she made a picture of Aniruddha, and she bowed her head and acknowledged this was the man of her dreams. So Chitraleka said, "Okay, I am going to make this happen for you. I am going to become your matchmaker." So that's where we leave off. In a very short time, Chitraleka reached the city of Dwaraka, which was being well protected by Lord Krishna. Chitraleka herself, an expansion of Yogamaya, needed to employ her mystic powers because when she arrived at Dwaraka, Chitraleka found herself unable to enter Lord Krishna's city. And at that time, Sri Narada Muni instructed Chitraleka in the mystic art of entering. So one note here I would like to make, that Chitraleka at first could not enter Dwaraka. And this will come up towards the end of our Krishna book, when we see even Mahavishnu could not enter Dwaraka. And because of that, a whole episode unfolds. But that comes towards the end of Krishna book. So stay tuned, don't touch that dial, and make sure you attend every single class. Otherwise, You'll have to watch it on Facebook or YouTube. Chitraleka entered the palace and found Aniruddha sleeping in his bedroom on a very opulent bed. Chitraleka, by her mystic power, immediately brought Aniruddha in that sleeping condition to the city of Shonatapur so that Usha might see her desired husband. Usha immediately bloomed in happiness and began to enjoy the company of Aniruddha with great satisfaction. The palace in which Usha and Chitraleka lived was so well fortified that it was impossible for any man to either enter or see inside. Usha and Aniruddha lived together in that palace, and day after day, Usha's love for Aniruddha grew 4 times upon 4 times. Usha pleased Aniruddha with valuable garments, flowers, garlands, scents, and incense. By Aniruddha's bedside sitting place were other paraphernalia for residential purposes, nice drinks such as milk and sherbet, and nice eatables which could be chewed or swallowed. Above all, Usha pleased Aniruddha with sweet words and very obliging service. Usha worshipped Aniruddha as if Aniruddha were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's also instructive, because we're going to spend some time at the end of the class discussing Vyas Puja. And Prabhupada will explain to us this concept of how you worship the Guru as you would worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Usha worshipped Aniruddha as if Aniruddha were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She did this by her excellent service. And so Usha made Aniruddha forget all other things and was able to draw his attention and love to her without deviation. In such an atmosphere of love and service, Aniruddha practically forgot himself and could not recall how many days he had been away from his real home. So here's another interesting point. Einstein was actually correct. Time is relative. It's there in the Vedic scriptures. The time calculation on earth is different than the time calculation in the heavenly planets. 1 year on earth is only 1 day in the heavenly planets. And we learned previously when we studied the Brahma Vimohana Leela, when Lord Brahma tried to play a trick on Krishna and he stole Krishna's cowherd boys and calves and hid them in a cave, and how Krishna for 1 earth year expanded himself as all the cowherd boys and calves, and yet from Lord Brahma's time calculation, it was only a moment. So yes, time is relative. But here is another angle of vision of how time is relative. When we are enjoying, when we're having a good time, here in America we say, oh, time flies. But when we're suffering, then time goes very, very slowly. I have personal experience of this. In 2006, when I had my first attack of kidney stones, and I thought I was dying, and I called my wife from her work and I said, you got to come home, I'm dying. I didn't know what it was, but I was in so much pain. So during that painful hours, waiting for her to come home, then waiting at the hospital to be admitted. Every moment was excruciating. I'm sure those of you who have given birth can testify to this, that men, we have no understanding of what it is to give birth. But you ladies, you know, and your bodies are so designed that Krishna has arranged that you are able to tolerate it. But men, no way. There's no way a man could tolerate giving birth. So, we give all respect to the women who make this world a better place. That's a little personal blessing. Hare Krishna. However, in due course of time, Usha exhibited some bodily symptoms by which it could be understood that Usha was being very intimate with a male friend. The symptoms were so prominent that Usha's actions could no longer be concealed from anyone. Usha was always cheerful in the association of Aniruddha, and Usha did not know the bounds of her satisfaction. The housekeeper and the watchman of the palace could guess very easily that Usha was having intimate relations with a male partner, and without waiting for further developments, all of them informed their master, Bana Asura. Prabhupada now comments, in Vedic culture, an unmarried girl having association with a male is the greatest disgrace to the family. And so the caretakers cautiously informed their master, Bana Asura, that Usha was showing symptoms indicating a disgraceful association. The servants informed their master that they were not at all neglectful in guarding the house. They were alert day and night against any young man who might try to enter. They were so careful that a male could not even see what was going on there. And so they were most surprised that Usha had become contaminated. And since they could not trace out the reason for it, they submitted the whole situation before their master. The guards feared that if Bana Asura found out about Usha's activities from some other source, Bana Asura would severely punish them. And thus, they personally informed Banasura that his young daughter was no longer innocent. Bana Asura was shocked to understand that his daughter Usha was no longer a virgin maiden. This weighed heavily on his heart. And so without delay, Bana Asura rushed towards the palace where Usha was living. There, Bana Asura saw that Usha and Aniruddha were sitting together and talking. They did indeed look very beautiful together, Aniruddha being the son of Pradyumna, Aniruddha being the grandson of Krishna, and Pradyumna had been Cupid himself. Bana Asura saw his daughter and Aniruddha as a suitable match, and yet, due to family prestige, Bana Asura did not like the combination at all. And Banasura could not understand who this boy actually was. Bana Asura did not appreciate the fact that Bana Asura did appreciate the fact that Usha could not have selected anyone in the three worlds more beautiful. Aniruddha's complexion was brilliant and swarthy. Aniruddha was dressed in yellow garments and had eyes just like lotus petals. Aniruddha's arms were very long, and Aniruddha had nice curling bluish hair. The glaring rays of his glittering earrings and the beautiful smile on his lips were certainly captivating. Still, Bana Asura was very angry. When Bana Asura saw him, Aniruddha was engaged in playing with Usha. Aniruddha was nicely dressed, and Usha had garlanded Aniruddha with various beautiful flowers. The reddish kumkum powder placed on the breasts of women was spotted here and there on the garland, indicating that Usha had embraced Aniruddha. Bana Asura was struck with wonder that even in his presence, Aniruddha was peacefully sitting in front of Usha. However, Aniruddha knew that his would-be father-in-law was not at all pleased, and that Banasura was gathering many soldiers in the palace to attack Aniruddha. Thus, not finding any other weapon, Aniruddha took hold of a big iron rod and stood up before Bana Asura and his soldiers. Aniruddha firmly took a posture indicating that if attacked, Aniruddha would strike all of the soldiers down to the ground with the iron rod. Aniruddha's weapon was not made of ordinary iron, but was made of a special kind of iron called muru. Bana Asura and his company of soldiers saw that the boy was standing before them just like the superintendent of death, Yamaraj, holding his invincible rod of chastisement. Now, under the order of Bana Asura, the soldiers from all sides attempted to capture and arrest Aniruddha. And when they dared to come before him, Aniruddha struck them with the rod, breaking their heads, legs, arms, and thighs. And one after another, the soldiers fell to the ground. Aniruddha killed them just as a leader of a pack of boars kills barking dogs one after another. In this way, Aniruddha was able to escape the palace. Bana Asura, however, knew various arts of fighting, and by the grace of Lord Shiva, Bana Asura knew how to arrest his enemy by the use of a Naga Pasha, or snake noose, and thus Bana Asura seized Aniruddha as he came out of the palace. Ordinarily, Bana Asura would not have been able to actually capture the powerful grandson of Lord Krishna. However, Krishna's potency, known as Lila Shakti or pastime potency, allowed this to happen so that the events which will be described in the next chapter could take place. When Usha received the news that her father had arrested Aniruddha, Usha was overwhelmed with grief and confusion. Tears glided down from her eyes, and being unable to check herself, Usha began to cry very loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.